We welcome you back in our session. Now we go to the last part of the presentation, which is about some techniques of counseling. When listening to a client, the counselor has to consider each one as a particular and unique case, because people grow up in different environments and are born with different traits from nature. The counselor will therefore guide the client according to his appreciation of the approach that best fits the case, or that fits the case the best. Knowing and using different approaches of counseling will make the counselor professional by assisting client in an effective way. The first technique is cognitive therapy. In this cognitive therapy, the counselor leads the client to identify faulty thinking, because the thoughts determine the feelings and actions of the behavior. The thoughts affect the way of making decisions. So through questions, the counselor leads the client to change decisions or make new ones. This is a psycho-educational model which emphasizes therapy as learning process and practicing new skills, learning new way of thinking, and acquiring more effective ways of dealing with problems. Client focus on examining faulty assumptions and misconceptions and on replacing these with effective beliefs. The second technique is behavioral therapy. This therapy works effectively when parents are trained about behavior modification and teaching couples communication skills. The behavior of children is more built by the family education. The behavior is the product of learning from the social environment composed by parents, siblings, friends, colleagues, and many others. Normal behavior is learned through reinforcement and imitation. The goals of this cognitive therapy is to eliminate maladaptive behaviors and learn more effective behaviors, to identify factors that influence behavior and find out what can be done about problematic behavior, to encourage client to take an active and collaborative role in clearly setting treatment goals and evaluating how well these goals are being met. Counselors need to help the client assess the possible consequences of negative behavior and evaluate the expected positive result for making behavior changes. The technique of this behavioral therapy is done through education, means teaching positive control and attractive behavior. It is done also through reward and punishment. The third technique is cognitive behavioral therapy. It is also called CBT therapy. This cognitive behavioral therapy combines the cognitive and behavioral techniques of therapy. It aims to work on emotions by changing the thought and the maladaptive behavior. So the counselor helps the client to identify the dysfunctional thoughts and behavior and lead him or her to address and adjust them. The objectives of this CBT therapy are to put attention on changing the irrational thinking and actions, and to teach the client how to move from dysfunctional emotions and behavior into healthy ones. The fourth technique is the psychoanalytic therapy. The founders of this technique say that human beings are basically determined by psychic early experiences. So, the unconscious conflicts from the past motives the present behavior. What are the goals of psychoanalytic therapy? The first one is to make the unconscious conscious, means to help clients gain access to their unconscious conflicts. The second is to assist clients in reliving early experiences and working through repressed conflicts. The third is to reconstruct the basic personality because it was destroyed by the past. The fourth is to achieve intellectual and emotional awareness. This psychoanalytic therapy uses also under other techniques, which are the interpretation of the event, dream analysis, because many people, when they have trauma, they also have dreams. So the counselor have to know how to interpret or analyze dreams. The third one is free association. So the counselor leads the client to be associated to some groups which is helpful for him. And the last one is analysis of resistance. Among questions in this psychoanalytic therapy, the counselor has to ask the client to talk about his or her story and his or her family from childhood. Secondly, the counselor asks questions for knowing about grandparents and the parents of the clients. How was their behavior, their habits, their relationship, their morality, and so on. If some of them are no more alive, some of the parents or grandparents, the counselor will ask, at which age did he or did she pass on? From which disease? The counselor will ask what was the level of attachment of the client and that parent, that person. What are the positive and negative events during childhood? With whom did he or did she spend more time? Was it with parents or other persons? How does he or does she appreciate that time? What were the life conditions in the family? Their health state, their economic and financial state. Is there an event from the past which shocked him or her? If yes, which one? Yeah, after talking about these therapies, cognitive, behavioral, CBT, and psychoanalytic, let us talk about Christian counseling. In Christian counseling, as pastors or church leaders spend enough time in the role of counselor, they have to consider that each ministry that they are doing is related to counseling because of soul care. Church leaders access to the lives of people through sermon and other church ceremonies such as birthdays, graduations, premarital training, weddings, funeral, mournings, hospital care, and many other crises. So, even without doing a proper counseling, the church leader is in a position of offering counseling to people who are suffering. What are the main competencies? The main competencies of the church leaders come from their life experience, their personal history, their character, integrity, beliefs, and others. These characteristics help them to be guided by the biblical principles. They also help them to practice and dependence on the Holy Spirit's power and the ability of using properly the Holy Scriptures. So, the Christian counselor will focus more on the client or the counselee and avoid to fall in immoral pits. In Christian counseling, the counselor leads the client to build a therapeutic relationship with God and with other people. The counselor leads the client to earn the capacity of love, of forgiveness, of perseverance, of patience, humility, moderation, and other fruits of the Holy Spirit. The foundation of counseling is the use of Holy Scriptures. What are the techniques of counseling for children? There are many, we'll just mention some of them. The first one is drawing. The counselor prepares a paper, pencil, color pencil. If no material, children can even draw in the sun. The counselor can ask them to draw whatever they want. If they don't want to draw, the counselor can ask them to draw a man or one of their family member or the whole family or the place where they used to live. Then after that, the counselor will ask questions of explaining that what they drew. The goal of this drawing technique is to help them to talk about their pain. We have to remember that many children express trauma from or get trauma from social environments and during the developmental stages. The second technique in children therapy is playing sketch or playing game. The counselor chooses a story that children can play. He or she can choose a story from the Bible. After that, the counselor asks questions such as, have you gone through something like this? What happened to you? What was difficult to you? How did you overcome it? If in the play there is a situation that had to do with the feeling of loneliness, the counselor will ask, have you ever felt lonely in your life? If the answer is yes, the next question can be, what happened? So the counselor identifies the feelings from the sketch and asks questions to let children talk about their proper feelings related to their problems. The counselor can ask how the client, did he or did she survive when experiencing that. So the counselor has to be creative for asking many other questions. The counselor has to check if there were any maladaptive behavior from the trauma wound. Then he or she will see how to continue with behavior therapy or cognitive therapy or any other therapy. The other technique is writing stories. As we have said before, writing is another way of putting out what hurt people. After writing the story on a sheet of paper, then the counselor asks questions. The purpose of this is to help the children identify negative reactions and replace them with positive ones. At the end, the papers are teared apart in small pieces and burned. In church settings, normally, the session ends by a memory verse showing the love of God or his support to his people who suffer. Let us remember that children express their feelings more through game than talking. Another technique of therapy is reading a story from a book or from the Bible. After reading the story of a traumatic event, the counselor asks questions which allow children to tell their own stories and emotions. This is a photo of children who were in a group counseling. Another technique is learning to relax. The counselor chooses a comfortable place, environment, or position. It may be a beach, a hill, under the shadow of trees, or any other quiet place. The counselor can lead children to do breathing exercises or other physical relaxation exercises. They can also watch or observe a beautiful environment of vegetation. Another technique is writing positive messages of appreciation, of praise, of wishes, and compliment to the person. Like we can see from the picture, in the session of counseling of children, a papa is put on the back of somebody by a scotch. After that, each member of the group write a positive message on the back of that one. For example, in a group of counseling of children, each one write a positive message on the back. I can, if it was me, I can write, Mary, you are intelligent, you are bright, you are brave, you are engaging, you are courageous, you are humble, inspiring, just, listener, trustworthy, wise, and many other positive words. I can also write, may God give you all the best in your life. At the end, the paper is given to the owner, and he or she reads herself, those words which were written by others. These words change the bad thoughts and low self-esteem of that person or about self. The other technique done with children, even with old people, is the empty chair. The client, when seated on one chair and the empty chair is in front of him or her, he can imagine that the one or that person which lets him suffer is seated on the chair in front of him, though he is not physically present. The client expresses words of talking to that person, those words expressing the suffering or the pain that person did to the client. So after saying things which that person did, then the client moved from his chair to the chair of the empty chair. And on the empty chair, the client supposed that he's that person he was talking to. Then he replies the word that that person was supposed to reply. After that, the counselor, the client, comes back to his own chair and then add more other words for expressing his pain, what that person did to him or to her. And he can do that movement many times, taking the place of that person and then coming back to his own place. This helps also to him. As I was saying, the client will repeat that movement as many as he or she wants up to. There are other therapeutic activities for children, such as discussions, pictures, film, videos, walk, game, physical exercises, dancing, singing, and so on. We want to close or to end this presentation by saying that there are a kind of doing Bible study in purpose of healing trauma wounds. So in our notes, as you will have all of this presentation in a hard copy or electronically, you will see we gave some biblical passages or verses, and we suggested questions which can be asked so that people may reflect on the Bible passages, relating it to their own experiences. So I'll not go through this part, but you will find it in the notes you will get. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and now I welcome each one of you, each one of us to bring his or her contribution through questions or through additional knowledge. Thank you, and may God bless you.